What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode, another awesome show for Funnel Vision. We have Joshua Tiernan today, and I'm very excited because we're going to talk about no code founders, basically starting to build your business without having to have a bunch of developers on board like I have when it comes to building Funnelytics. So Joshua, first and foremost, thank you for being here. I'm excited to chat with you. As always, we love to start with your humble brag. Tell people like what you've been able to achieve for your clients. Tell people what you've been able to achieve for yourself. In other words, why should people listen?
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on. I appreciate that, Mikael. So I run the No Code Founders community, which has been going for 4 to 5 years now. Prior to that, for a long time, I was just working in normal jobs, customer service, this kind of thing. And then I came across no code. That allowed me to enter the founder world for the first time. And within a couple of years, I'd sold 4 companies, all built with no code tools. And then since then as well, the No Code Founders community has grown to almost at 25,000 members who are all serious founders building businesses without using code. So we've enabled a lot of businesses to start that people who perhaps weren't technical or didn't have the skills to know how to build a tech business, but have since been able to do that. So really that's what their entire vision is with No Code Founders, is to try and help as many people as possible build businesses who have the idea but not necessarily the skills.
So let's break that down a little bit more for people who don't really understand what you mean by no code. What exactly does this mean? Like, give me a typical no code type of business. Give me like 1 or 2 or 3 examples of what is a no code business.
Yeah, I mean, the definition is sort of hard to define. I think a lot of people are building software as a service type businesses now. So they're using tools like Bubble or maybe Webflow to build some kind of SaaS offering to other businesses or to consumers. And then we have the other ones which are sort of less technical. Um, Things like newsletters, communities, blogs, which are sort of less seen as a proper no-code business, but they still require some technical setup to get those things running efficiently. So those are the main things that we see. And then also things like directories and marketplaces. And there's a lot of tools that you can use to get those things stood up pretty quick as well.
So would you consider like an e-commerce business a no-code business?
I personally do. We don't really see that many e-commerce businesses coming through No Code Founders. It's one area that really just doesn't, we don't get a lot of attention from. But I think, we have tools like Shopify and things which allow people to build really comprehensive websites that allow them to sell digital products, but we don't really see those kind of startups in the no code space.
So, for just as a quick summary and make sure that we're all on the same page, basically, a no code founder is somebody who uses technology to enable their business to run and to be powered. However, they aren't coding themselves, or it's not part of a function within their organization, their company, where they have developers sitting down and building some code. So they're basically leveraging other people's technology in order to enable the power and power their business. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's also a crossover with the traditional coding space as well, though. So we see like 10% of our members are actually developers. And they're seeing these no code tools which allow them to basically speed up their development process, their iteration process, all of that. So they're using no code as maybe like a first step to get them from 0 to 1, and then they build from there. So we see traditional businesses with the traditional coded businesses coming in and using no code tools in the same way. And also, as the no code space has developed and we now see AI doing a lot for these businesses, we see a lot of AI being incorporated into how these businesses are built and grown as well. So,
Okay, interesting. And you kind of mentioned some traditional ones would be kind of a newsletter, a high traffic blog with maybe some affiliate links or something along those lines. I assume course creators fall into that category, and so those are basically the people that you see. Do agencies fall into that category as well?
Yeah, massively actually. So around half of people who come into the community who call themselves a founder are either an agency or they're a freelancer or a small developer studio.
Interesting. Okay, cool. So how did you get started? How did you kind of decide to start No Code Founders? And tell me a bit about the journey.
Yeah, so I had tried for many years to build businesses online unsuccessfully before I discovered no code, and I was like hacking things together online. Really, I was no coding, but I didn't realize that's what I was doing. Um, and then I discovered Bubble, which is one of the main no code tools, which really allowed me to build exactly what was in my head without having to use workarounds. And when I discovered that, my first startup built on Bubble was acquired within like 6 months by We Work Remotely. And that really opened up my eyes to the possibilities of no code. And I thought there must be other people in the same situation as me. And I started to see the no code movement develop on Twitter. And there wasn't really a community at that point. There wasn't really any place for those people to come and hang out. So I created a Slack group. And within a couple of months, it was up to like 100 members. And then it grew from there. So the early days was really just all word of mouth growth. And then I built up the website over time after that. So it was really just built as a way to kind of scratch my own itch and meet people who are in the same boat as me.
And why do agencies come to you?
Um, I think, well, I've got different reasons why I think that may be, but I think one of the main things we see is that agencies are their revenue is tied to their time more than any other business, really, like a service business. You're selling your time. So optimizing your time as much as possible allows you to increase your revenue by not having to spend it on other things. So a lot of these agencies are using no-code tools to speed up the stuff that they're already doing every day and give them time back on the other revenue generating activities that they have.
So it's really about figuring out from an operational standpoint how to remove some of the time and the barriers that are tied around individuals' time and all that stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
Interesting, very interesting. And so, talk to me about you said you built four no code type of businesses. What were those businesses?
Yeah. So the first one was actually a wedding directory stroke blog. So I've tried so many different businesses, but yeah, wedding directory blog. That one was acquired. The next one that was acquired was a remote job board. Um, the next one after that was a blogging platform. So I created a kind of plain text blogging platform. And then the fourth one was a community.
Okay, so you've gone kind of through a lot of ups and downs building businesses. Trust me, I know the feeling. I've tried many different businesses, and now I do have a code-based business, which is Funnelytics. But I certainly know that most of our business is powered by no code, obviously, right? So when we think about beyond the actual product itself, which requires our own code and et cetera, every other aspect of our business is kind of powered by other people's technology and platforms. So tell me a little bit about the movement and how no code grew. So first couple months. First of all, how long has it been going?
5 years.
5 years. So first couple of months, it was a couple hundred people, and people were just signing up to Slack. How did you get it out there? How did you get it to 20,000 plus members now? And what was that journey like?
Yeah. I mean, I probably haven't been as intentional about marketing as I should have been. And I think most of it comes down to organic and just really consistency. So the fact that we've existed for this long. Most of the other no-code communities that existed around the time I started have now either been acquired or they've just fizzled out. So I think just this sort of longevity in terms of how long we've been there has contributed a lot. But in the early days, the first thing I did was I started interviewing people who were within the community and sharing those posts on social, and that generated a lot of interest. So that maybe took us to the first couple of thousand members. Then we also started partnering with the no-code platforms, which generated more awareness, and we started getting deals from them as well. And then the other thing was we started building up a lot of user-generated content on the site. So we had allowed people to add their startups and add what tools they were using to build their startups. We built up a no-code tools directory. We had a deals directory, a tutorials directory, and then a freelancer experts directory as well. So now we have hundreds of thousands of pages on Google. So we get a lot of traffic from these really niche searches. And then just word of mouth. When we started No Code Founders, it was really just the idea of no code was a tiny group of people on Twitter who were talking about it, and the awareness of no code in general has expanded over the years. So we've just sort of grown organically with the movement itself.
That's pretty. It's pretty impressive in terms of the longevity. I understand what it takes to build a community. I've built a community for Funnelytics as well, and it took a long time. And continuing that community is also very, very challenging. It's very hard to kind of keep that momentum going and to keep that community active and alive and all of that stuff. So, what have you done for people who want to build a community? What have you done in order to kind of keep that engagement high and keep that kind of momentum going? Because I know, again, from my standpoint, when I stopped posting in the community personally, as kind of the leader, the face of Funnelytics, et cetera, the community started to die and slow down. And it really kind of it comes and goes based on my efforts. So have you noticed that to be the same for you? Or have you found an alternative way to kind of make the community live on its own?
Yeah, I think it was very much like that at the beginning. Now I have a community manager, and I've sort of tried to separate myself from it in that way. I think one of the main challenges with communities is, unlike other businesses, they sort of change with every growth point. So, 0 to 100 members is a completely different culture from 1,000 to 5,000 members. And then the culture changes again at 5,000 to 10,000. So you really need to change the initiatives that you're offering at each point, and also the growth strategies and things like this. So the way you do that is really by listening to the community. So a lot of one-to-one calls with members, seeing what people are posting in the community, in the Slack or any asynchronous chat that you have, and really just listening to what it is that people want and adapting it in that way.
So let's quickly talk about the journey. So you went, obviously you had this tipping point where you came across Bubble and you started building your own, and then you started realizing that there's these communities or these people who ultimately are doing the same thing as you, right? And that sparked you to say, hey, you know what, let's create a community around it. Now, if you look at all of your businesses, if you look at everything you've done, kind of the 4 businesses that you ran, including the community, what in your mind are the best growth tactics? How were you able to build these, sell them? What drove that growth? And yeah, can you share some thoughts around that?
Yeah. So again, I think it would be try and making it as community led as possible. So really the biggest selling point of community is people. So, it's a kind of strange business because your product is people and your marketing is people as well. So the thing that you're selling is the bringing together of those people. So I think leaning into that as much as possible and using that as your marketing. So in the early stages, that can be, really trying to go deep in those early stages and not focusing heavily on growth. So 0 to 100 members is about, one-to-one calls with every member, for example, like really building up those relationships and understanding what it is, the challenges that people have. And then from there, that allows you to shape it for the next stage. And then for the next stage, you're maybe then doing things like creating mastermind sessions or small networking sessions, maybe screenshotting those sessions and posting those on social to then give that fear of missing out to everyone else. And that brings that next growth stage. And then you can lean more into the user generated content. So this could be blog posts from the community. You could have other types of user generated content, like we have the startups directory, for example. So ways for people in the community to be able to showcase what they're working on and the experience and expertise that they have, and share that with the rest of the community. So I think leaning into those sort of community, the experience of the community is a great way to go.
Yeah, and I think even in the agency world as well, which many of our listeners are in the agency space, they're marketers. The thinking is that, well, I sell a service, I don't need to build a community, etc. But the reality is, you still have this massive opportunity to grow by getting the similar people who you're serving together, because they all have similar problems. You may be able to do, SEO, you may be able to do some marketing initiatives that you can offer them, but their challenges are bigger than just the solution that you offer, right? Everything that they're trying to achieve. The more you can kind of get these people together, the easier it is for you to become that authority and for you to position yourself as the go-to person if they do need those marketing services on the back end. So I couldn't agree with you more. Community is a huge lever to kind of take this to the next level. So with that said, if people want to learn more about no code founders, if they want to learn more about you, where can they go?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn, Joshua Tiernan. And I also, as well as running No Code Founders, I run a couple of other communities, but then I also offer a community management service, which people can use as well. So I think one of the big challenges of community, in as opposed to a service business, where a service business you're trying to templatize things all the time. You really can't templatize community at all. You need, everyone is completely bespoke. So yeah, that's one of the services that I offer, as well as like running communities for freelancers and small businesses as well. So yeah, so social is the way to go if you want to connect with me.
Nice. And you've decided you're not adopting the X mantra. You're sticking with Twitter for now.
Did I say Twitter? Yeah. It's so challenging, because it's like you say X and it's not really clear what you're talking about. You could be,
Yeah, exactly. If you were like, what do you mean X? X of what? And you're like, yeah, no, I meant Twitter. Cool. Well, Joshua, I appreciate this. It's very clear that you've had a lot of success with communities, and communities themselves are a great way to go. And then, of course, if you want to learn more about how to just grow your business as an agency or as a marketer, and just any business in general using no code, then they should come to you and join that community as well. So thank you very much for your time, and thank you for your wisdom.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.